If you find yourself mindlessly scrolling on your phone or social media, or you want to break your phone addiction or use your phone less, this is the video for you. A few years ago, I was browsing my phone on the bus. Then I have a moment of awareness. I was like, wait a minute, why am I all upset? I started retracing my steps. What I realized is when I step onto the bus, the first thing I do is to whip out my phone and started scrolling mindlessly on social media. And then I saw a picture of my friends having dinner and my mind started telling stories of why am I not invited, and I started feeling upset. I remember this day very clearly because that is the day I started being mindful of how I use my phone. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 6 ways in which I use my phone mindfully. Before I share about 6 tips, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between mindlessness and addiction. And I'm going to use the car as an analogy to describe the difference. So when you drive a car, usually you have a destination in mind. You know where you want to go, and get on the car, you drive, and when you reach your destination, you stop, right? But when it comes to addiction, you don't have control over your car. The car is driving you. So if you want to stop, you can't. If you don't have an addiction to your phone, you can stop using your phone at any time. Mindlessness, on the other hand, is like you're driving a car but you have no destination in mind. You're just wandering around the streets, you don't know where you want to go, but you're still able to stop your car. When you drive to a place that you find interesting, you can stop your car and get out of the car. You still have control of your car. You're just that you don't know what's your destination. This is different from addiction, where you cannot stop your car. Knowing this will help you deal with your situation better. The number 1 tip is to start with intention. This is especially helpful for those people like me who likes to mindlessly scroll their phone on social media. So oftentimes, if you find yourself mindlessly scrolling on social media or on your phone, that is because you don't know what to do. You don't have a destination in mind. So you're like driving a car with no destination, you're just wandering. What you can do is, before the next time you use your phone, you can ask yourself, what is my intention of using the phone? For example, before you go to social media, you can ask yourself, what is your intention of doing so? Maybe you want to check the updates from your friend. Maybe you're just bored and you just want to find something interesting. The clearer you set your intention, the better you know when you go off course. There's nothing wrong with going off course. Exploring is fun, but at least you want to know when you go off course. You want to be aware that, oh, the last hour I'm doing nothing, I'm just exploring. So is this what I still want to do for the next hour? So nowadays, I don't automatically go to my phone straight away. I add an action before I go to the phone, which is to ask myself, what is my intention? And if I don't have any purpose of using the phone, sometimes I just don't use my phone. The second tip is to embrace boredom. So many of us, we go to our phone because we feel bored. We want to avoid boredom. We want constant stimulation. We want excitement. We want interesting things to do. We want to explore. But what I realize is, when you bring the vibration of boredom into the activities you do, everything seems boring to you. So when you are bored and you use your phone, the YouTube videos that you watch always feels boring. No matter what social media you scroll, is nothing interesting. It's like you get bored easily. That is because you bring the vibration of boredom to the activity. Boredom is actually not a bad place to be. It's a crossroad between positive emotion and negative emotion. When we feel bored and we use our phone mindlessly, what tends to happen is, after an hour or two, we realize that we have wasted so much time on our phone doing nothing. Then from boredom, we dip into a lower negative emotion of guilt, like, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be wasting my time. Don't go to your phone when you're feeling bored. Boredom will attract boring activity. You will just end up mindlessly scrolling on your phone. So what I do nowadays is, when I feel bored, I just close my eyes and take a break for a minute or two. I remind myself that I don't have to rush into the next activity, and boredom will easily become from discontentment, dissatisfaction to contentment. And when I feel content, I suddenly have an idea of what to do next, what interesting things I want to do. And when you transform boredom to contentment, you may suddenly feel that, oh, I don't need to use the phone anymore. Like, I'm just fine being bored, embracing boredom. So the third tip is for people who are over-relying on their phone. That is to embrace not knowing and embrace uncertainty. This little tool that we have is very useful, and I'm grateful for it because I got to have access of all the information I need in this small little phone. But the problem with this is you have too much information and you want to find all the information before you make a decision. Having too much information might be unnecessary. Sometimes I find myself wanting to find the best route to get from one place to another. I want to find the timing of the buses and decide which bus I want to take first. Or I want to find the best restaurant to eat. Sometimes my mind just gets way too analytical with so much information. There's nothing wrong with doing research, but if you become so analytical, you start to find out of life. Nowadays, when I'm waiting for the bus, I don't look out for the bus timing. I just wonder when will the bus comes. Instead of finding the best restaurant, I just allow my intuition to guide me to the place where best serve me. So every time when you want to use your phone to search for information, ask yourself, do you really need this information? Do I really need to check the weather before I go out? Do I really need to check the share price of the stock like every 5 minutes or every 15 minutes? Do I need to read all the reviews before I eat in a certain restaurant or buy a certain good? Alternatively, try consulting your intuition. It's fun. Like just wonder and just not know. That is the fun of not knowing, right? The number 4 way to break your phone addiction is to reduce your trigger. What I like to do is to remove all the push notification from my phone, or at least the sound. I like to put my phone in the silent mode. Again, this is about intention. I want to use the phone when I want to use it, not when the apps call me to use it. It's also about not knowing. You don't have to know the latest updates. You can check the updates when you use the phone. One effective way of using the phone less and having less trigger is to don't use the phone the first thing in the morning. I know a lot of you might use your phone as an alarm clock. What you can do is to use an old phone as the alarm clock. For example, I use my old phone for guided meditation in the morning, and after I do my meditation, I just switch it off. I don't switch on my actual phone until noon most of the time. Sometimes I even forget to switch on my phone. My brother said I'll be the last person he'll call if he has an emergency. You don't have to be extreme like me, but again, what is your intention? How do you want to start your day? If you want to be productive at work, just leave your phone alone in the morning. You also don't need to know immediately. I don't check my emails until the afternoon. I don't want other people's agenda to be my agenda first thing in the morning. In fact, when I do switch on my phone, I realize no one really call, message or email me. Tip number 5, make your phone less accessible. I don't put my phone in front of me, I put my phone behind me. Out of sight, out of mind. So when I need to use my phone, I need to get up and turn my body to get my phone. And when I turn around and saw the beautiful window and the view outside, I take a break for my eyes too. If you're like me who are in front of your computer most of the time, put your phone out of reach. Doing so will help you move your body more. Another way is to make your app and phone less convenient. We like to use our phone because it's convenient, right? So you can log out of your apps like social media. The more things you need to do to access the apps, the more it deters you from using the phone. I also periodically delete apps on my phone that I don't use. If I want to use them, I can install them back again. But most of the time, I don't use them. It's also good for people who don't like clutter like me. The last tip is to use your phone to develop a mindfulness habit. I have a way to use my phone that is very irritating to most people. What you can do is set an alarm every 1 hour, and every time the alarm rings, ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I thinking? Just be mindful of your thoughts, your action, your feelings. Pay attention to your body sensation. This is super irritating to the ego, but it's a great way to build a mindfulness habit. I no longer do this, but I did this many years ago when I used to have a critical voice in my head. I want to check my thoughts regularly to see if they are serving me or not. And if you think you are in the office and you can't do this, yes, you can. When I used to work in the office, I put the alarm in vibration mode. It was so irritating, but it's so helpful. Even when I was speaking to my manager one day, I felt my phone vibrating in my pocket. I realized I have to check my thought. Instead of checking your mind for critical thoughts and negativity, you can also use the alarm to remind you to breathe and take a mindfulness break. Also, the sound and alarm in the phone can be changed. You can use a mindfulness bell. Whenever someone calls you or messages you, instead of having the ding 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 sound, you can have a bell sound instead. Now I don't need the phone to help me to be mindful because it has become a habit. If you have a phone addiction or a mindless phone scrolling habit, there's no need to break your phone or throw away your phone. It's your consciousness that matters. How conscious are you in using your phone? The phone can be a great help in your life and help you connect deeper with yourself, or it can be a time waster or a means to escape. It all depends on how you use your phone. If you want to learn how to embrace boredom, I've written an article about it. The link is in the video description below. If you're one of the people who send me direct message on Instagram, I'm so sorry. I only found out about the messages years later because they don't appear in my DM. If you want insight on how to live a more peaceful and joyful life, be sure to check out the other videos on my channel or subscribe to my channel.